You're welcome back. My name is Esther Bubli. Now, the details of the story. In a strong rebuke, Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, has accused Reverend John Tim Fodjo, the ranking member of Parliament's Defense and Interior Committee, of disseminating false information concerning an alleged suspicious aircraft landing at Ghana's Kotoka International Airport. Felix Kwachi Ofosu's sharp critique of Reverend John Tim Fodjo is a direct consequence of President John Dramani Mahama's decision to tax national security agencies with investigating Fodjo's accusation that two specific aircraft, Air Med Flight N83AM and Kavok Air Antonov AN 12B, had landed in Ghana, purposely carrying illicit cargo in the form of cocaine and large quantities of US currency. Minister Ofosu, speaking on Thursday, April 3rd, asserted that Reverend Fodjo has shifted his position regarding the alleged suspicious aircraft, now claiming that his initial statements were not expressions of his personal opinion, but rather reflections of the views held by the parliamentary committee he represents, a change that occurred after he was invited to provide assistance in the ongoing investigations into the matter. Accusing Reverend Fodjo of disseminating total falsehood and lies, Mr. Ofosu stated, because he knew he was peddling total falsehood and lies, he now claims after being invited to assist with investigations that he was speaking on behalf of the committee that he was part of, and that the views he expressed were not his personal views. Mr. Ofosu asserted that Reverend Fodjo's claims, unsupported by facts and intended to damage the government's credibility, led to his refusal to cooperate with security agencies. Ofosu reiterated on X that there was no basis for the allegations of drug trafficking and money laundering. Reverend Fodjo has raised concerns about suspicious cargo on two aircraft at a press conference on April 1st, alleging an increase in illicit activities under the current administration. However, President Mahama has ordered a thorough investigation, while the government maintains the allegations that are politically motivated.
In the last few days, the disinformation machine of the new patriotic party has been ratcheted up, and they've taken it a notch higher. This time, Reverend Ntim Fodjo, who also doubles as the Member of Parliament for the good people of Asin South, has made very wild claims to the effect that two aircrafts which passed through Ghana for various reasons were carrying drugs, and that was the reason why they were here. He also alleged that they were involved in money laundering, and therefore he was calling for investigations. As you may be aware, President Mahama gave him the opportunity to present any evidence or any basis he has for making that claim to the security services, so that together we could look into the matter to ascertain whether there was any truth in it. I can report to you that because he knew he was peddling total falsehoods and lies, he now claims, after being invited to assist with investigations, that he was speaking on behalf of the committee that he was part of, and that the views he expressed were not his personal views. So because of that, he says he's unable to cooperate with the security agencies. I say that he was peddling falsehood because the facts as they exist vary completely from the claims that he made. When he made that claim, he was only seeking to peddle falsehood in a bid to undermine the confidence that the people of Ghana have in this government. The truth is that two aircrafts with completely different purposes arrived in Ghana, and their arrival was perfectly legitimate, and they were here for very genuine reasons. The first one is an Antonov Flight 12BK with registration number CVK 7037. Now, this flight essentially is a cargo plane which arrived on the 12th of March 2025.
Away from that story, the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, has ordered the immediate transfer of all police commanders stationed in mining areas as part of intensified efforts to curb illegal mining, also known as galamsey. Speaking during an engagement with imams and Zongo chiefs in Kumasi, the minister stressed the government's commitment to tackling the menace, which has devastated water bodies and farmlands across the country. I have ordered the IGP to transfer all police commanders in all mining areas and send in new ones. So if you are a regional, divisional, or district police commander serving in mining areas, you will be changed with immediate effect, he declared. He further stated that the new officers deployed to these areas would be strictly monitored and assessed based on their performance. The new ones we are taking will be transferred after 3 months if they don't perform. We will keep making changes till we see results, he emphasized.
Police be will walk and say Mama order said, yes, you will now I am from and you will be district commander, divisional commander, walk and say, yeah, me say, well, who come, make us a they say, what's now watching? Well, you will, because what's now going to be fighting and say, and so you will, nay, you are for example, and they are, we can't say police runner, I'm for night, no, ya hun sakaya o se be you feel na ye be yes to say ye be nya results because ye hu say is the body of God fi e a wo say ye wurum ne ye kwaye no wo mo ne sebi ye nuanu mu bi a ye di sa me ni na so mo say wo bo ho ban wo mo ne wo mo na e kana na wo mo de san to de e dey do e some na say e bi obi be fa wo so say ye say ye transfer so I know who said, because I said, I am not a war. Or say, oh, this thing is a person said, wait, as a person. Or say, oh, the back, person said, as a person. If you can say, India, no, we are Western region. Obia can say that, Saturday, yes, because yes, Sunday, I say, oh, wait, man,
he also added that he will tackle the surge in robberies targeting mobile money vendors in the Ashanti region. His assurance follows 3 reported incidents in the region, raising concerns over the safety of vendors and customers.
Lastly, the Adubia, what do you call it, robberies. I mean, this is something that we'll put on top. You know, this Momo thing, when we came, was one of the major challenge. And then with the new IGP, I mean, specific instructions were given, and we've seen the results of it. We are not going to relent on the fight against mobile money attackers, but with this armed robbery too, I can assure you that we'll make it a priority and probably do same strategy and see how we can nip it in the bud. So we want to thank you and assure you that we are open and we're more than ready at any time to assist the region to ensure that law and order is ensured, and then citizens of Kumasi and Asante, for that matter, are able to move about their duties and carry out their business with that.
Now on the issues of the Kufuor family. A relative of former President Kufuor confronted a man claiming to be his son at a media house, where the alleged son made a claim during a broadcast by a media personnel. The man claims he has made numerous unsuccessful attempts to connect with the former president since learning of their alleged biological connection. He further explained that he had traveled to the former president's family residence and in a separate attempt to reach his alleged father, had also sought a direct audience with Asantehene Otunfo Osei Tutu II, but both attempts were thwarted. In response to the widespread attention the story has received on social media, the family of President Kufuor has issued a statement. Mr. Apa Ojemfi, nephew of former President Kufuor and member of the Kufuor family, made an appearance and in the interview explained that he felt compelled to confront the 51-year-old because he felt compelled to confront the 51-year-old because of the viral spread of the story and the need to address the numerous enquiries the family was receiving.
Said the was some okay, you also mammy well hunida. So Nana Kai, or buy us no, Nana hima, what you first or my dying. It's you patch, let's say, President Kufo hunida.
There be patch of that many initiated. Patch of that.
And I'll call Nana hima no. Uncomo deal said the old can. O mamma, one call President Kufo, and the infant Azumi say, and the background. One fiaba. Now, radio so our baby, and solve a problem. Me am it yes also papa ne president Kufo me metime ade atum se fine ye fie yam punipa ye wi a okwa enana hema ade be na sinchen na pega hin ho pani fo ho nti kwan bia so no but de me mate afa ho ene se wo de papa ne din ne nam em ko papa ne nam fo bi op team na me de mate nyo
de what in our walking to no man
it's mesro sa ni o mani na ajai wa ba hai me no wahia wa hai if you are share me up the film. Na ho. Na simbia de efi agi nipa bibiri. Ya na kwaba da ali Kufo. O kon kawe baabi ani gira so baabi abefa bia no. Kufo no edin mu odu. Abusua kase. Ye nya nioma basabasa sa. Sa what media nas.
Daddy me ba cho na president ankasa wanya video ni bi ahwe.
Oh, say na social media.
You are listening to Big Family Radio. Big Family Radio. Obia say eye.
Dia me catch a branch.
No ankasa de no work campaign.
Oh, say papa de. Ono de. On ka bibia bo so but. Aye fie nti no. And I'm pese papa yi a branch ti ase. Say go papa ni obi a. Ye mfa nam ko boda wuro. And our papa ni president Kufo enye news. Enye onko ana. Say bu ye nipa. Ye fie ye mpu nipa.
Mate, they say na waba no.
Away from that story, Mr. Ernest Frimpong is an esteemed professional in the insurance industry, currently serving as the CEO of Bedrock Insurance Company Limited. Ernest Frimpong emphasized that the repeated fires at Kantamanto Market have a devastating economic and social consequences for the traders and their families who depend on the market for their livelihoods. He argues that a properly planned and constructed rebuilding effort is not just a matter of fiscal construction, but a vital investment in the security and stability of the market community. The rebuilding, he suggests, should have included features like fire-resistant stores, community fire safety training programs, and readily accessible firefighting equipment to empower traders to protect their businesses and their lives. He believes there's some leadership failure that needs to be addressed because he feels it's too early to rebuild the Kantamanto market. Ernest Frimpong challenged the very foundations of the Kantamanto market's current infrastructure, asking how were they able to build these structures in the first place, and what permissions did they obtain before construction even began. Furthermore, Frimpong stressed the importance of learning from past mistakes, saying, "Every wrong is for us to correct our right." He then proposed a practical solution. We could have introduced insurance to them, arguing that providing traders with access to insurance would create a crucial safety net, allowing them to rebuild their businesses and livelihoods in the face of future disasters and making them more resilient in the long run.
So listening to your point and looking at the fact that these market women and men in Kantamanto, for example, have rebuilt the market, must it be compulsory on these traders to have insurance, or what must we do as a state so that when it happens, it doesn't become a burden on the state, to try and get them to be back on their feet?
Yes, thank you very much. I believe that the rebuilding of the market should have been coordinated and more structured to make sure that we don't have the situation that we had before the fire. Because every misfortune is an opportunity to actually correct things and make things better for the way forward.
They thought someone was selling the land, so they had to rebuild. That's why they did it. Within that time they did.
Yes, but in Ghana, well, you cannot just build unless you have, if the approval has been given for you to build something. So how did they get the approval to build the structures again? So it means that there's some leadership failure over there that we need to address.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Because they shouldn't have been allowed to actually do that. Because what has happened has affected all of us. And as a country, we need to come together to make sure that the right thing is done going forward, so that we don't come back to the same situation. Right?
Okay.
So the point is that they are supposed to, the owners of the properties or the land are supposed to add even the insurance as part of the rental arrangements.
Okay.
Following the devastating fire on March 21st that ravaged shops in the central businesses district of the Ashanti region, businessman and philanthropist Emmanuel Abuaje, also known as Abuaje Contractor, has donated 5,000 Ghana cedis to aid the affected traders. The donation, presented to Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amwakuhene, was made after Mr. Abuaje visited the fire-damaged area to offer encouragement to the victims. Mr. Abuaje expressed solidarity with the traders, recognizing their vital role in the Kumasi economy. He explained that his and his wife's charity foundation was motivated to assist after being approached by the regional minister. We saw this as our collective responsibility, he stated, emphasizing the foundation's commitment to supporting the less privileged within its financial means. He also urged other Ghanaian businesses to offer both financial and psychological support to help traders recover from their losses and rebuild their livelihoods. Dr. Amwakohene gratefully accepted the donation on behalf of the victims, assuring them of the government's support in rebuilding their businesses. He emphasized the psychological boost Mr. Abuaje's visit and donation would provide during this difficult time. He also mentioned that while immediate rebuilding is on hold pending the return of Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, the market's landlord, the government will take necessary steps to assist the traders upon his return.
Good afternoon. I am actually shocked and surprised with the level of destruction I have come to see here. To be honest, I've seen images of the destruction, but seeing it in person, I'm really shocked. Clearly, a lot of work has to be done here. This will require a lot of investment to be able to restore this place to its previous state. Ashanti region is a home to me because I have so many staff here, I have so many customers here, and also what it means is that I have a lot of businesses here. Anytime I come here, I have come home. To be honest, when this destruction happened, I had a lot of calls from many of the traders and the market women here asking me to extend some level of support to them. And so that is why I've come here today to come and support in the best way that I could. And as the Honorable Minister himself said, I have come here to support you with 500,000 Ghana cedis, which is 5 billion OCDs, and 1,000 bags of cement to aid.
In the international news, China has announced its response to the U.S. tariffs, imposing a 34% tariff on American goods. This move comes after the U.S. imposed its own tariffs, which China claims seriously violates World Trade Organization (WTO) rules. A spokesperson from the Ministry of Commerce stated that China has also filed a lawsuit with the WTO, the World Trade Organization. The spokesperson emphasized that the U.S. tariffs damage the legitimate rights and interests of World Trade Organization members and undermine the rules-based multilateral trading system. China has expressed its strong opposition to the U.S. tariffs, characterizing them as a typical unilateral bullying practice that endangers global economic and trade order stability. The spokesperson reiterated China's commitment to firmly opposing these practices. Away from that story, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 3 American citizens who were previously sentenced to death for their participation in a failed coup attempt the previous year will now serve life imprisonment, a decision confirmed by the president's office. The 3 Americans were part of a larger group of 37 people who received death sentences from a military court in September of last year. The 3 Americans were convicted of spearheading attacks on the presidential palace and the home of a close ally of President Felix Tshisekedi in May. The announcement that their death sentences have been overturned and replaced with life imprisonment comes at a sensitive time, shortly before a scheduled visit to the DR Congo by Massad Boulos, the newly appointed U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa, potentially signaling a shift in diplomatic relations. Massad Boulos, who is also the father-in-law to President Donald Trump's daughter, Tiffany, is scheduled to arrive in Kinshasa on April 3rd as part of a broader tour that includes stops in Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda. While the United States government have refrained from formally declaring that the 3 imprisoned Americans are wrongfully jailed in DR Congo, the State Department has confirmed previous discussions with Congolese authorities concerning the matter. The 3 Americans were convicted of a range of serious charges, including criminal conspiracy and terrorism, all of which they vehemently denied. The alleged ringleader of the coup plot, Christian Malanga, who was a U.S. national of Congolese descent, was killed during the course of the attack, along with 5 other individuals. In a widely publicized military trial involving 51 individuals, 14 were acquitted due to lack of connection to the attack, although the death penalty has not been enforced in DR Congo for approximately 2 decades and is usually commuted to life imprisonment. President Tshisekedi granted individual clemency yesterday, April 2nd, commuting the sentences of the 3 Americans, Marcel Malanga Malu, Tyler Thompson, and Zalman Polun Benjamin. Moving away from that story, European stock markets are experiencing a significant downturn on Friday, deepening losses that began tentatively earlier in the session. The catalyst for this accelerated decline in China's announcement that it will impose retaliatory tariffs of 34% on all goods originating from the United States, effective April 10th. This move is a direct response to recently announced U.S. trade measures. The benchmark indexes across Europe are bearing the brunt of investor anxieties. The FTSE 100 in the United Kingdom, the DAX in Germany, and the CAC 40 in France are all down by more than 3%, reflecting widespread investor permission across the continent. These losses follow a similar pattern observed earlier in Asian markets, which also registered a significant declines in reaction to the escalating trade tensions. The current global market turmoil was initially triggered by President Trump's announcement on Wednesday of sweeping new tariffs impacting international trade. These announcements immediately triggered a significant sell-off across global stock markets, with U.S. markets experiencing their worst single-day performance since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. This sharp decline underscores the profound impact that trade policy decisions can have on investor confidence and market stability. Market analysts attribute the widespread sell-off to concerns that these escalating tariffs will exert upward pressure on consumer prices, contributing to inflationary pressures that are already a source of concern for central banks globally. Furthermore, there are fears that the imposition of tariffs will ultimately slow down economic growth, both within the United States and internationally, as increased imports cause disrupt supply chains and dampen demand. The potential for a protracted trade war between the US and China and the subsequent impact on global economic prospects is fueling a climate of heightened uncertainty and risk aversion among traders.
You are listening to Big Family Radio. Big Family Radio. Obiase eye.
Still on the international news, Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen of Denmark is in Greenland for a 3-day visit to strengthen ties with Greenlandic officials. This trip occurs amid U.S. interest in the strategically important Arctic territory, which is becoming more accessible due to climate change. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance recently criticized Denmark's investment in Greenland, echoing previous statements by Trump about the region's importance to U.S. security. Frederiksen will meet with incoming Greenlandic leader Jens Frederik Nelson and the feature cabinet to discuss cooperation. She publicly acknowledged the pressures on Greenland and its politicians. Greenland is a semi-autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. Amidst growing U.S. interest in Greenland's strategic location and resources, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen is visiting the territory to reinforce cooperation with Greenlandic leaders. This visit follows recent criticism from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance regarding Denmark's investment in Greenland and past attempts by the Trump administration to acquire the territory. However, Greenland's incoming leader, Jens Frederik Nielsen, has made it clear that Greenland will resist any attempt at annexation, stating emphatically, "The U.S. is not getting that. We don't belong to anyone else. We decide our own future. While Greenland, a mineral-rich island that is geographically part of North America, but a semi-autonomous part of the Kingdom of Denmark, has been working towards eventual independence, Nielsen advocates a more measured approach. The Trump administration's overturns, including potential threats, appear to have backfired. Peter Viggo Jacobsen of the Danish Defense Academy suggests that such actions have alienated many Greenlanders and driven even pro-independence factions closer to Denmark. Notably, the Nairaq Party, which favors closer ties with the U.S. and a rapid path to independence, was excluded from recent coalition talks. This suggests a shifting political landscape where his desire for self-determination is tempered by the strength of U.S. intentions. In the world of entertainment, Ghanaian actress and movie producer Yvonne Nelson has revealed a significant challenge she faced in the film industry, alleging that the Film Producers Association of Ghana actively tried to sabotage her career. According to Nelson, FIPAC took issues with her outspoken nature and her propensity to voice concerns about industry practices, ultimately leading her to being banned from participating in their projects. She explained that her experience was because when you are a woman and you are vocal, when you are unhappy with things around you and want to talk about them, people just don't like you. Explaining the situation further, Yvonne Nelson stated that FIPAC leaders felt she was too critical and outspoken, leading them to believe she was talking too much and complaining too much about various aspects of the film industry. Nelson shared these experiences while being interviewed. She went on to say, "I believe in their minds. They wanted to intimidate me. They wanted to end my dreams. They wanted to teach me a lesson, and they wanted to silence me as a young girl in the industry." The FIPAC ban, while initially a setback, ultimately motivated Yvonne Nelson to establish her independent production company, YN Productions, with early support coming from figures such as Kelvin Kobiri, now known for his work in ministry. Driven to take control of her career, Yvonne Nelson established YN Productions, a venture initially supported by Kelvin Kobiri, now a minister, which allowed her to produce her own films. This path was not without obstacles. However, as her first production was stolen after editing, an act involving armed robbers who made off with all editors' drives, leading Nelson to suspect sabotage. Yvonne Nelson believes that the theft of her first production was a deliberate act orchestrated by those who had previously banned her, suspecting their continued resentment towards her successful production efforts. Undeterred, she and her team reshot the entire film, incurring substantial costs. As a result of her resilience, Yvonne has gone on to produce 14 movies, including kotoka and heels and sneakers, and has also hinted at an upcoming movie project. Reflecting on her journey, Yvonne has admitted the industry isn't always easy, stating that, "For me, I have been through a lot as an actor and producer. It can be a toxic place. If you are not strong enough, I don't think you will last."
I believe in their minds they wanted to intimidate, they wanted to end my dreams, they wanted to teach me a lesson, they wanted to silence me as a young girl in the industry. And so when I saw that happening, I just decided that, hey, you can do your own thing, you can produce your own movies, why don't you try it? So I registered a company around that time and I started producing my movies.
Still in the world of entertainment, during his recent trip to Ghana to dedicate a 6-unit classroom block at the Nuaso Anglican Basic School in the Eastern Region, Grammy-nominated rapper Ja Rule addressed the possibility of future collaborations with Ghanaian musicians. Ja Rule, a dominant force in early 2000s rap since his 1999 debut, recently brought attention onto a potentially lost collaboration. In an interview, he recalled recording with a Ghanaian artist during a visit, but unfortunately couldn't remember the artist's name. This forgotten session highlights the often untold stories of international musical connections. The revelation has fans buzzing, wondering about the fate of the unreleased track and why it never saw the light of the day. Ja Rule is hoping someone can help him solve the mystery of the forgotten Ghanaian collaboration.
You know, it's so funny you say that. I did a record a long time ago with a Ghanaian artist. Forget his name, but it was like 10, 15 years ago when I came over here. And we recorded it right here in the studio, and it was dope. But, yeah, I mean, you never know, you know. So, you know, Afro beats is really, really big right now. And so the sound is really starting to gravitate and take control. So you never know.
Bend over, you know how we do it. The shows bring heat, the cold, the snipe, so ferocious.
To end the news, the recap of the headlines again. Government has accused Intim Fodjo of spreading falsehood. Interior Minister has ordered immediate transfer of police commanders in mining areas. Kufuor's family has addressed paternity allegations made by 51-year-old man. China has launched a